Today, we're going to talk about it does not make business sense to help you, so you won't get help. Let me know what part of the country that you're coming out of. Let me know that you can hear me. We're going to get right into it. What we're going to talk about today is that one of the real reasons why you in your area, your community, may not get the help that you think that you deserve, you may not get some of your problems solved, is because people can't really figure out how to create a business model around helping you that's sustainable, that makes the business model make sense. And often what happened is instead of you really getting the help that you need, right, you will get you will get served by scammers and charlatans is because they can figure out a business model to scam you, right? However, nobody can really figure out a business model to actually help you. And I think that's something that you really want to try to really wrap your head around as we get ready to go into the future, because I think because the economic piece is lacking from so much of our education, we get told there's another reason why you're not being served, why these problems are not being solved in your area, why nobody's approaching you with a solution to your problem. And it's often because what you've communicated to the market is that it doesn't make business sense to solve that particular problem for you and your group. So then therefore, nobody really comes with real solutions, but people will show up to scam you out of your money. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of examine that. Let's go into the first video to give you an example of what I'm talking about.
Found out there's one area of town that is seriously lacking. She's live this morning in East Houston with the story for us. Kathy, good morning.
Good morning. Right here along the East Freeway. This is where the old hospital sat decades, but it's been gone since just after Hurricane Harvey. There are efforts, though, to bring more health care to Houston's east side. Houston has the largest medical center in the world.
Means nothing to the residents of East Harris County.
And every freeway in the city has a hospital except I-10 East.
They've opened one in Katy. They have some in Woodlands. I know they'd opened one in Humble. Why not the east side?
Ida Roach's dad passed away in April.
It was a big hit for me because I was the one next to him all the time.
He suffered from heart issues and diabetes, which meant frequent visits to the medical center from their home in Galena Park.
With traffic, it's up to an hour, hour and a half.
For decades, East Houston Regional Hospital sat here on I-10 near Uvalde. The hospital, a block away from Greens Bayou, flooded multiple times, including during Hurricane Harvey. It was closed and demolished.
We just really couldn't continue to put patients' lives at risk in that site.
There were no plans for another hospital, but HCA soon opened this emergency room along East Beltway 8.
We started with a 9-bed emergency room, not sure that the community would respond.
The response so great, it's expanded to 22 beds.
Things happen and you want to be able to get to care quickly.
Harris County Commissioner Adrian Garcia is on a mission.
How do we serve the uninsured?
When Precinct 2 has the highest number of uninsured people in the county. He's teamed with Baylor College of Medicine to run these 2 mobile health clinics out in the community.
Ensuring that everybody, regardless of their walk of life, regardless of their language, regardless of their socioeconomics, can have access to life-changing and life-saving healthcare.
Now, there's an effort to open a big healthcare facility to help families in East Harris County who need it most.
You're not forgotten, and you're not going to be left behind.
HCA recently sold this site to Harris County for flood detention. The CEO said they could possibly build a hospital in the area in the future. I reached out to other hospital systems, including Memorial Hermann and Methodist, and they do not have plans to open a hospital here in the area. Reporting live in East Houston, Kathy Hernandez, KPRC 2.
Okay, and what that story was breaking down is that in East Houston, they don't really have a public health care footprint. Maybe an urgent care center. They don't have an emergency care footprint. And they also don't have a hospital in which people can have stay and actually get services administered to them. Therefore, as a result, people in that particular area who are already economically challenged have to travel into the city, the downtown area, to get these services rendered. Now, many people will say, well, this is an issue of this particular group not being served. The question we want to ask again is that, does it make business sense to help you? If we're running a healthcare business, and we can't justify the cost of serving a particular area or a particular segment of the market, therefore, we can no longer continue to offer services, so we have to pull services out. What should we do if we can't sustain the business model? And I often think people don't realize, because in America, we're kind of made to anticipate and expect certain things. Now, me personally, I believe that everybody should be afforded health care. But we still have to figure out a way to make that work or make something else work to where we can justify the healthcare. Okay. One of the most important things I learned when I was taking finance, when I was in college, is this concept right here, that all charity comes from profit, right? And what I want you to understand is that many people have really kind of accepted that the only way I'm going to get help is if somebody decides to offer me charity. And then they start to believe that's how everything should work. So people shouldn't make money helping me. They should help me because as a form of charity, without realizing is that all charity comes from profit. So there's things that I want to do to help people, but the profit has to be in my business for me to help people because I can't make any money off helping them. They're not a good business. They're not a good business segment to try to serve with a for-profit offer. Therefore, there has to be enough revenue flowing through my business where I can extract some of that revenue to help people and make no money off of it. And many people start to believe this is how everything should work when I need help. Now, when I want to entertain myself, when I want to have fun, when I want to do something that I enjoy, I'm willing to pay for that. But when it comes to the things that I think I really need, somebody should be willing to offer me charity, or somebody should be willing to give it to me at a discounted price because I really believe that's how the world should work. And what we're going to see is that as we continue to get even further and further down the road, they're going to pull more and more of these particular type of services away from people that can't afford it. And often what you see with lower income people is as they get older, the health issues become worse and worse because they don't necessarily have the ability to serve them early on. They get worse, which becomes detrimental to them as they get older. Let's go into another video that I kind of want to show you that kind of explains what I'm talking about.
Official closure of Atlanta Medical Center. Well, hospital officials tell us the last patients they have been discharged. The facility has been a mainstay in the Atlanta community in the Old Fourth Ward neighborhood for more than 100 years. It will close its doors for good tomorrow on November 1st. Atlanta News First, Patrick Quinn. He spoke with hospital leadership. Patrick, what was their final message tonight?
The message from Wellstar tonight, it was one of gratitude. They said thanks to their staff. They said thanks to this city. It will be strange to drive by and not see these lights lit up. Wellstar is moving on, and so is the city of Atlanta. They have to find a new hospital, and top county leaders tonight, they told me that that new hospital, its location, it may not be here.
Empty halls, vacant rooms, no patients. In a matter of hours, the Atlanta Medical Center will be closed for good. Kim Mullins, executive VP of Wellstar, said they've been able to keep 75% of their staff, and there have been no safety issues to patients during the transition.
I think it's about the best outcome you could possibly achieve in a situation such as this.
Mullins reiterated they tried to find a financial solution to keep AMC open or even attract another hospital to the property, but a deal could not get done.
Several hospitals and health systems did look at it, and every system that went through the complete due diligence withdrew.
We're not fiddling while Rome is burning, so to speak.
Rob Pitts, chairman of the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, said they're trying to lure a new hospital to the site, but the infrastructure is aging. He said it'll cost $600 to $800 million to build a new 250-bed hospital. But if a new hospital is built, Pitts believes it should not go in the Old Fourth Ward neighborhood.
That type facility, that size medical care facility is going to go in South Fulton County, from my perspective.
Last week at a town hall in Summerhill, community members on the mayor for more hospital care south of I-20.
We're going to work hard to try to attract some medical facilities to the south side of town because an emergency doesn't care what neighborhood you live in. It just happens.
Pitt said in the short term, Piedmont, Grady, and Emory can handle the patients no longer able to go to AMC. But in the long term, Atlanta needs another hospital. But he projected that need will not be met this year.
I think it'd be unrealistic to think that there would be a deal, anything coming out of the ground within a year. But all I can say is that we're working diligently and we have feelers out all over the country.
So if it's not a hospital, what will go here? Well, city leaders, they put a moratorium on development through April of 2023. And hospital officials tonight, they told me that they have received inquiries from developers, but they will not look at those inquiries until after tomorrow when the hospital closes again, November 1st. And hospital officials tell me they will have a small team of security staff and maintenance staff on hand through this transition.
Okay, so you're saying the same scenario in another part of the country, right? Is where the hospital is saying that we can't justify operations in this particular area. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up our footprint and we're going to go into another direction. Because the only way we can justify doing this is if it makes business sense. Because we got to pay staff, we got to pay for equipment, We have to pay for things. And therefore, if it doesn't make business sense and then we can't get the funding from somewhere else, then we can no longer afford to do business here. And so this is what I want people to really understand. When you put people in this situation to where the only way they can help you is to take a loss, you're going to find more and more people deciding to not help you, and you're only going to receive charity. But what's interesting, and I'm going to say this again, when it comes, no one believes that the entertainer should do charity. Nobody believes that Beyonce should just give her talent away. Nobody believes that David Chappelle should just give their talent away. Hell, nobody believes that Netflix should give their content away. A lot of people do password sharing, but somebody is paying for it because you got to get the password first. Nobody believes that Apple should give their stuff away, right? But what's unusual is when people come to services and things that they need, their attitude is that, well, people shouldn't make money off doing that. And the issue again is that if we're going to offer these services to people, the money has to be made somewhere to offer the service. The service just doesn't come out of thin air because we have staff, we have people, and we want to attract good people to offer these services, because often when you're dealing with these type of deals in what we call underserved communities, because we can't pay people a lot of money to work there, we often don't attract the best people. So then a lot of times what we're having is people that really can't work anywhere else. They go into these type of deals and then they really offer bad service to what I would call disenfranchised or lower income people, because they can't work in places to where you have to put a requirement to offer a top tier service. Okay, let's keep going because I want to show you something else. So here's an article about this same issue. So Atlanta Medical Center was one of the only 2 level 1 trauma centers in the region. Last year, it announced it was closing a 450-bed AMC in the heart of Atlanta and AMC in South and East Point due to a decline in revenue. So a move that also resulted in the closure or relocation of several doctors' offices that are kind of chained to this particular large footprint in the South Metro area. So both were considered a vital healthcare provider for many low-income residents. On Wednesday, state and local elected officials called the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for Civil Rights and IRS to investigate. The group accuses WellStar of healthcare redlining, of expanding operations in predominantly white areas while abandoning minority communities. So the complaint to the HSS alleges WellStar broke federal laws by closing 2 hospitals that serve primarily Black populations while continuing to operate hospitals that serve richer, whiter people. They also allege WellStar violated Title, I don't know, was that Title 11, 9, 10, I don't know, of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, or national origin in any program activity that receives federal funds. Previously, the Marietta healthcare system has stated that it spent more than $350 million to cover losses and to make improvements at Atlanta Medical Center, losing $100 million in the year before closing. WellStar said then it tried and failed to find governments or others to help with sustainable solutions. So several elected officials at the time, including Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens, responded that WellStar gave them no notice or chance to help. So WellStar saying that they spent $350 million to cover losses and make improvements in the AMC, and they lost $100 million in the year before closing. And the biggest issues they have is that the revenues are not there. Now, how come the revenues are not there? One of the biggest issues is that you're dealing with a largely uninsured population, right? And so what happens is people come to get health care, they're not insured, they can't pay. So what we try to do is write it off through federal funding, right? They try to write it off through federal funding. And if the federal funding can't help us write it off or cover the cost, then we just have to eat the loss. And this is what happens when you're serving populations that are very, very low income. So then now how do they get medical services? They don't, because it doesn't make business sense to serve them medically. It just doesn't. This is why when you go to other parts of the world, there are no medical. Go to northern Nigeria and see what kind of medical services you're going to get. Go to certain parts of Mexico and see what kind of medical services you're going to get. You're not going to get any, because it doesn't make business sense to offer these people medical services. They can't pay it, and there's no government pool of money to help pay it. Therefore, no medical services get offered. If y'all knew what I was paying for insurance, it'd blow your mind. But I got to pay it. At least I'm going to be uninsured, and I don't want to be underinsured. So I would rather pay it. But it'll blow your mind if you knew what I paid for insurance, right? But you got to pay it. Okay. So what people call Obamacare is a big help, but we have people even now, even at paying $150, $200 a month, they can't pay that. So what they do is they wait till they get sick, then they go to the hospital. The problem is that they really need health care on a regular basis, not just when they get sick. They need routine checkups. They need consistent care. And all that costs money because healthcare, even now with all this technology, there's still a big HR footprint to healthcare, and all those staff have to get paid, and all that equipment costs money to run. The equipment costs money to maintain. Healthcare takes a large geographical footprint, right? So healthcare needs space. So we got to find space for people to actually be able to get healthcare. All of this costs money. The question I want to ask you again, does it make business sense to help you? Because what you see in the majority of the world is when it doesn't make business sense to help people, they get no help. This is why people in other parts of the world cling so close to family, because that's the only people that's going to help you. In America, what we've done is told people you can depend on government institutions and charity and corporate outreach and, billionaire philanthropy to help people. So then therefore you can you can lessen away from family. And what we're seeing is that really hasn't worked that well. And now they're pulling away the support. So not only do you not get the support, you also don't have the family to help you. Then you have nothing. So you're just stuck out here. But you've been conditioned to believe that it's somebody else's job to figure out how to make business sense to help you while they lose money. And that's not how the world works. And that's not how this world is going to work going into the future. America is going to look like the rest of the world, where if you have money, you get good health care. If you don't have money, you get no health care. Even though you're supposed to legally carry health care, it don't matter. Okay, let's go to the next one, right? What is a business model that makes sense to help you solve problems? And this is something people really want to ask themselves. What is a business model that makes sense to help you solve a problem? What does that business model look like? Because often people will get upset that they can't get problems solved. And they get upset that people don't offer solutions to help them solve problems. But what is a business model? We got all these people on YouTube. They went to all this college. They're so highly educated. In fact, they claim we got people that claim they some of the largest business owners. So then we're going to ask the question, what is the business model that makes sense to help you solve your problem? Why would somebody come in to help you solve your problem if it doesn't make business sense for them? They should just do it because it's the right thing to do or it's the correct thing to do. How come they shouldn't make money doing it? How do they support themselves? And this is one of the biggest challenges. So years ago, this is something I talked about on my Facebook page. I think it was either Goldman or Morgan or one of those other places. They had a program to where the children of their clients were able to get like consultation and education around the financial markets, how to invest, yada, yada, yada. So they created a summer camp for that. Well, that costs money. Well, Goldman already understands that this particular pool of clients that they have, they're willing to spend money to make sure that their children get the proper education. So they can create a business model around that and offer that to their clients. And a certain amount of their clients is going to redeem that particular offer, and it makes sense for everybody. And I think that's one of the challenges that a lot of people have is that they can't figure out if somebody wants to help me, how does it make sense for them to do it? Because like I said, Beyonce is not touring for free. When these entertainers come through the city, Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, whatever, they're not doing it for free. Some entertainers work on scale when they do movies. Kevin Hart doesn't. They do big productions. Denzel doesn't. Tyler Perry's show is not taking no losses on nothing that he does. All of these people are getting their money often up front. One of the worst things I think that YouTube does is it makes people create a video with the hope that they could get paid on the back end. The video should be just like a movie. If you want to watch the video, you got to pay to come into the door. They can still monetize it after the fact, but it really should be the way if you, just like a movie, if you want to watch it. I don't like this TV model to where you watch it and then you decide while you're watching it whether or not you want to donate. That's a bad model on the end of the person. So this is what I want you to understand. When you yourself can't think up a business model to help you solve your problems, then somebody else had to think of that solution. They had to make it work. Why shouldn't they get compensated for it? So the idea that it's somebody else's job to help you solve your problems and they don't get compensated for it, it's not going to work. The idea that people should figure out how to solve the issues of certain areas of the city not getting access to groceries and they shouldn't get compensated for it, it's not going to work because they got to figure that problem out. So solving problems is a benefit to society. People that can solve problems, they should get compensated for that. That's how we get problem solved. If we're telling our problem solvers that they shouldn't get compensated, right? In a system that's really based around money, they should get no compensation. They should just do it. The question is, how do they support themselves? So this is what I learned the hard way. Me and Huff used to go all over the city and teach, do business education classes. He used to do his thing, and I used to teach Facebook ads because I knew how big Facebook ads were going to be. And we was doing this for free. And we was bringing people in rooms, small business owners, other people that was curious about it. We was teaching it all for free because we wanted people to learn it because I knew how important Facebook ads would be. Even for local business owners, Facebook ads are one of the largest force multipliers that you can have as a small business owner's Facebook ads, even in 2023. The problem is we weren't getting paid because why? People didn't value the education. They didn't value it. The problem is when I had a downturn in my business, the fact that I wasn't getting paid hurt me in the long run. That's why everything now is a fee on everything. See what I'm talking about? Because I tried the model of y'all would really, it'll blow your mind how many people I helped for free because I wanted to see people win and do better. Because I already have a team-oriented mentality. That's how I was raised. So I don't never want to, I'm the only person that got something going on. It'll blow your mind how many people I help for free. But what I realize is that it's a mental issue where a lot of people don't value certain stuff. They've really been conditioned to think they should get it for free. And then what they do value, they pay for. Just like I said, Beyonce is not going to give you no free concert. Dave Chappelle's not going to come in here for free. You can't go to no Atlanta Falcons game for free, right? You can't do any of that stuff for free. Everything got to pay to it, right? You can't get cable for free or what we call cable now with streaming services. None of that's for free. They might give you 7 days for free, and now you're going to start paying them, right? But what I found is that I could keep giving people education based on my experiences, based on my training around stuff that other people was charging for. They would consume it. And then when I needed help, those same people, because they had not elevated themselves for what I taught them, they was in no position to help me. And that's when I said, that's a bad model. You can't run that model anymore because you're going to be 60 years old living on the street. And all you could talk about is how many people you helped. And they're going to be went on about their business. One thing I had to do a lot of study around is a lot of people that tried to help people and they didn't put a fee on front of their helping people. Their end of their life was real bad because they never prepared themselves for the end of their life while they were so busy helping everybody. When things got tough for them towards the end of their life, they was all by themselves. So I got into the mindset of everything got a price tag to it, and the price tag just keep going up. It ain't never going to go down, right? So that's what you really want to understand. I used to really believe that you should just give people stuff, because it would help them and because you knew it. There was a time where everything I knew about options, I would have gave to people for free. But like I said, when I had a downturn in my business, those same people I was helping was in no position to help me. So now we both were stuck because they didn't take what I taught them and do something with it. Because why? They didn't have to pay to get it. It was free. It's like television. So I want people to really understand The world we're getting ready to go into, which is the world, how the world looks for the majority of the world. The majority of the world looks like this. If people cannot create a business model that makes sense to help you solve your problem's never going to get solved. Right? You're just going to have to deal with that problem. And this is why you see a lot of the health disparities in a lot of parts of the world between people that got money and people that don't have money. You see the education issues. You see all these issues because why? Nobody can figure out a business model that makes sense. This is one of the reasons why the Communist Party of China had to allow some level of capitalism into that particular country because they couldn't figure out any way to make money. We got to bring some kind of money in. We can't have all these programs to elevate people with no money. So they even had to sit there and say, you know what? We got to do business with people because we have to bring money in. Because if you look at it, a different area, Castro had a quote unquote socialist revolution, but he was 100% dependent upon the Russians for financing. When the Russian Communist Party or Russia, whatever you want to call them, when they fail economically and they can no longer give Castro money to support Cuba, what happened to Cuba? They went even under. They weren't doing great. They got even worse. Why? Because Castro could not figure out a business model to make what he was doing in Cuba work. So he's dependent upon the Russians to give him money to support all his activities. The Russians was buying sugar from him at an extreme premium, way more than what it was worth just to make sure that Cuba had money. When they could no longer buy that sugar for them at a premium, the whole economy imploded. Because he could never create a business model to make what he was trying to do in Cuba work. And Cuba is a relatively small country compared to the United States. It's a relatively small country compared to China. It's a relatively small country compared to Russia. So the Chinese peeped that and said, you know what? We can't make that same mistake. We got to do a level of business that'll make these programs that we're trying to run work. So you see the Chinese, they doing business with everybody because they understand, even though we're trying to push towards this end result, which is a communistic state, we got to do some level of business on the way there because why? We can't elevate our people with just ideas and philosophy. And that's what I want people to understand. Okay, we're going to go into the next point. Why do you keep getting presented with scammers? Because before, nobody can create a business model that makes sense to help you solve your problems. So the only people that show up to help you are scammers. Now, there's scammers everywhere. There's scammers in the Anglo community, right? But when you have a whole community that shows that I can't create a real business model to help you that actually makes sense, then somebody shows up to not help you, but just to take from you. Because they can create a model to do that makes sense for them, but you never get the real help. So the person thinks they're getting help. It looks like somebody's coming to help you, but really they just coming to scam you. Because they also have figured out that we can't really create a business model that makes sense to help these people. So we're just going to scam them. And this happens over and over and over again, right? So this is going to be this hamster wheel, this feedback mechanism that's going to keep a lot of people poor, not just in the United States. You see this all over the world, where scammers come in and scam the population because why? Nobody can really figure out how to create a business model to help these people that makes sense. So the scammer sees that opportunity to come in and I can get money out of these people. I'm never going to help them, but I know how to get money out of them in a way that makes sense to them because they don't even really know what real help looks like. Then everybody gets upset over the scammer and then we move on to the next situation and then they do it all over again. It never stops, right? But if you try to come in and offer the real help, they don't want to pay for it. It's not interesting. It don't show up the right way. We can go back to the word. People didn't think the Messiah was the Messiah because why? He didn't look the way they thought he should look. So it don't look the right way, right? So you got to understand is that this stuff keeps going on and on. It's never going to stop. It just won't. This is just the human condition. And you got to accept that and just move on. Some people are never going to get the help they need. Maybe their descendants, maybe their great-grandchildren will, but they never will. And you got to accept that and move on. That's just how it is. Because you'll go broke trying to help these people. Ask me how I know. You'll go under trying to help these folks. Right. And then when you take the loss, they go into the Beyonce concert or they buying Hulu or they buying this particular thing. And you don't want to do it, but you gave them everything that you thought they needed to be successful. But because they got it so easy, they didn't put no value on it. Another thing I had to learn is everybody's not worthy of your game. If you got real game, it's not for everybody. Because the problem is the fact that they didn't have to go through nothing to get the game, they don't put no value on the game. That's why you need to be charged for game, and you need to be charged severely, like in every situation. I know a guy that sells yoga, big time guy over there in India. If you want to learn a certain level of yoga, not yoga, it may be yoga from him, some type of meditation, you got to go over there and literally work in their business. You can't even pay money. You got to go work for them, because the game he got to take you to that next level, it's a price tag attached to it, and you can't even put money on it. That's how high level the game is. So he's already letting people know you just can't come in here and get what you want to get. Not with us. Because the game he got, it's going to cost you. So that's what I want people to really understand. This is why there's so many scammers, because they realize a lot of people don't really want to put a price tag on stuff. Okay, let's talk about YouTube, right? I used to spend 2-3 hours doing YouTube videos. I got a video on here about what's going on in Nigeria. It took me 2 weeks to put that video together. And what I realized is that I wasn't getting compensated with views on the YouTube video. So what did I start doing? I started scaling it back, because I wanted to ask myself, is there really a market on YouTube for high level content? And I realized it's not. You can't really scale that market. You know, so I was spending 4 hours on Saturday putting a video together, and I would look at my analytics. Somebody, they would watch 25% of the video. We're talking about a 40-45 minute video. And then the video views would start going down like this after about 15-20 minutes of a 45, sometimes a 60-minute video, sometimes an hour and a half video. So I realized there's not a market for that here, right? Who YouTube is showing my videos to, they don't like that type of content. That's what I realized. So I stopped making that type of content. I used to do the Tuesday videos. It took me all day on Monday to create the concept of the video, put the video together, edit it, upload it, make sure it looked decent. I would spend all day Monday doing that. Right? Well, I was getting 100 views of the video. Now, somebody can say, well, David, you could pay somebody to do it. Once again, it got to make business sense. If I'm spending somebody $25, $30 to make a video for me, and I'm getting 100 views of the video, and then the views drop off like this, what it's telling YouTube is that these videos are not important. So then YouTube stops showing it. So then what does it mean? I'm just eating the cost of the video. So the market has shown me that a lot of this content is not valuable to who YouTube is showing my video to. But then people are saying they are mad about scammers. You can't be. That's not possible. And so that's what I really want you to understand, is that you have to really not allow people to lie to you about what they want, and realize is that, unfortunately, there's going to be segments of the population that are just never going to get served. They've been so miseducated for so long. And I just think that maybe I'm just like psychologically an anomaly, because I didn't really take to the miseducation, that you could present the correct stuff in front of them, and just because of where their brain is at, they're just never going to get it. Right? They just won't. And so this is why, YouTube also does stuff to where this is a live stream. This live stream will not be monetized for at least 48 to 72 hours after I close this live stream off. Right? But between 48 and 72 hours is when I get the majority of my views. So what YouTube is telling me is that it doesn't make business sense for you to make certain types of content, because we won't monetize the content until after most of your views are gone. Then another thing YouTube does is they put a censorship on my videos to where I don't get full advertisement. So then what I got to do is I got to request a review for the video. That takes another 48 to 72 hours. So we're talking about sometimes it takes 5 days for my videos to get fully monetized. By that time, the views are over, because my videos don't have legs like that. Most of my views come within 48 to 72 hours. Between 40 and 72 hours, it's not monetized. Then often the video I did last night about Ja Morant, I didn't curse on the video. I said one curse word, but I didn't do no cursing. To me, I don't have really controversial content. But what I talk about, YouTube has viewed as being not able to be monetized because I'm really talking about empowering people. So what YouTube is telling me is that there's really not a business case for the content that you make on YouTube. It just really doesn't make sense. So that I can try to push them to the Patreon, but I want you to understand is that what YouTube is telling me is that the only way you're going to push your content out on this platform is for you to pay ads. And we're going to kind of talk about the numbers behind that a little later, right? But organically, you're not going to get no action here because they're putting me inside a wall that the way the algorithm works, by the time I'm not behind that wall, everybody else is on something else because that's how this particular audience works, right? So that's what you got to understand. So YouTube is telling me there's not a business case. You can't create a business case to serve the audience you're trying to serve through YouTube videos. So that's why we scaled everything back. Because when I was offering it, y'all don't understand how much time I used to spend. I used to do, for 1 year straight, I did a Saturday, a Tuesday live, and a Thursday live for a whole year straight. Did it for 365 days, right? Second year, did it Tuesday pre-recorded videos, Thursday lives, Saturday lives. Spending hours putting content together, trying to make sure people got good content, but it never came into views. It still hasn't come into subs. I don't have 10,000 subs because my views don't go out. So what YouTube is telling people is that there's no business case for you here, right? I'm not talking about overthrowing the government. I'm not talking about, that the pandemic wasn't real. I'm trying to really empower people and get them to kind of understand how to be more successful in what they're doing. And that gets squashed. But if I was just on here talking about people like it was crazy, if I was creating content saying the Black community is doomed, Black women are the worst people in the world, Black men are the worst people in the world, I would get 40, 50,000 views per video because they push that out. So what YouTube is communicating to me is that we don't want you doing a certain level of business on this platform. And then what we're going to do is we're going to continue to starve you until either you just accept being starved or you go somewhere else. And that's just the reality. That's the business reality that you just got to accept. I can't make them do something they're not going to do because it's their business. So I got to play by their rules and I got to play by their conditions. That's how the game works, right? So that's what I want you to understand. When it don't make business sense to help you, you're not going to get the help. Because I would go broke trying to make it work a certain way because it don't work. The market has shown me they don't want it, and YouTube has shown me they don't want it. While people say they want it. So I said, well, we're going to see if you really want it. I'm going to give it to you and see if you want it. We really don't want it. We like what we're getting. Okay, well, then that's what you're going to keep on getting. And everybody knows that, right? So that's what I want people to understand. That's that particular topic point. Now, can business helping you be scaled? So let's go into this particular video real quick, and we're going to talk about, can business helping you be scaled? Can a business helping you be scaled? Let me go ahead and get that typo out of there. Can a business helping you be scaled? Let's go into this next video real quick.
Lies in the continuous and blatant disregard the safety, overall quality of life of Black residents, as many migrants have been dumped in our neighborhoods without a plan in place to monitor and house them long term.
A number of people who live in South Shore spoke at a rally in front of the closed high school yesterday. The school was most recently used as a police academy. They told reporters that they wanted a community or youth center to go into the school.
We have been redlined, Jim Crow, pushed out enough.
The city says between 250 to 500 migrants would be housed at the school, and Chicago police would have officers at the location around the clock. Chicago is desperately trying to find a place to house asylum seekers. Currently, there are about 500 staying at district police stations.
We're talking about migrants and asylum seekers that came from violent nations, that came from war, that came from poverty. Why are we putting them in an area where they could be further traumatized? Right. In high crime areas.
Over the last several months, thousands of migrants have been bused to Chicago from Texas. The city expects more bus loads in the coming days, with Title 42 expiring, a COVID-era policy which allowed the U.S. to send migrants back to their countries of origin quickly. A lawsuit has been filed against the city, arguing housing people at the shuttered school would not only violate its lease with CPS, but violate a zoning ordinance that doesn't allow residential housing there. The alderwoman for this ward says she wasn't given any heads up on the city's plan. The lawsuit follows a heated community meeting where people pushed back against the city's plan, and they plan to keep pushing.
We are strong. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to lie down and allow this to happen.
Okay, so that's an issue in Chicago with the immigrants getting ready to come into the city. And it's a very interesting issue, but the question you want to ask yourself is, can a business helping you be scaled? And so if you look at politics as really a form of business, and I think this is what often people miss about politics, especially in low income areas. And so let me give an example of what I mean. You're a politician in a lower income area. One of the biggest challenges that the people in that particular area can't finance you. So what happens to a lot of politicians in a lot of lower income areas is they go to corporations and big businesses to get financed. As a result, they have to do the bidding of those corporations and those big businesses. Therefore, when something comes up that the corporation or the big business may feel like benefits them, they often have to take the side of the corporation or the big business over the side of the people that are quote unquote voting for them and the people they're supposed to be representing. And this happens. So therefore, if I'm going to represent a bunch of poor people or a poor district or a poor area, they can't finance my campaign. So I have to go to people that can finance my campaign. Those people want something for financing my campaign. What if what they want, the people that are financing my campaign who don't even live in this particular area, contradicts or is in conflict with the people that live in this particular area? This is why it is so difficult to serve poor people, because they often can't help you get what you want. If I'm a politician, I want to move up in the political space. I want to have a political life. I want to have a political career. I often can't depend on poor people to help me, even if I want to help them. Let me give you another example. We saw what happened in East Palestine, Ohio. That is a lower income district, right? They primarily voted Republican. They had the issue with the train. They were not saying, well, Biden needs to come down here and look at us. Well, this is the issue. You got a Republican state rep that represents your area. You got a Republican congressional district rep that represents your area. Where were they? You see, they never showed up. The governor of the state showed up, who's also Republican, but your state rep never showed up and your congressional rep never showed up. Why? Because you don't matter. You're a poor area. You don't care. We get financed by big business. We don't care what happens to you, because nothing's going to stop that train company from running them trains. Because you're going to tell us that we can't move freight. The whole country stops. So it doesn't really make sense to represent poor people, because why? They can't help you. So they put on this narrative that they're going to try to help you, but we see that they have to go to who can support their business. If I'm a politician and I'm a professional, this is my business. This is what I do for a living. I got to deal with people that can support that, because that's what makes business sense. So you see politicians do this all the time. They're going to go with the people that can help support their political career, because the reason why they're trying to do these things politically is because I want a political career and I have to deal with people that can help me. So that's just how this game works. I don't care what they say on television. If you really look who's giving them money, that's who they're beholden to. And that's how this works. So let's go into this last particular point before we get up on out of here, right? Can a business helping you be scaled? So let me give an example. I know somebody, really good business person. They raised their prices. So I think they were charging, I don't know, maybe 40 a month. Now they're going to be charging 100 a month. Now people may get upset and say, well, why are they charging 100 a month? That's a lot of money. Now that's what my Patreon used to be. My Patreon used to be 100 a month. I brought it down to get more people in, because I started to realize the audience that was on YouTube, right? Now that's less than most people's phone bill, is less than most people's streaming bill. And I told people, in my attitude is still this: if you're paying 100 a month for the Patreon and you can't figure out how to make $1,200 a month extra off what I'm telling you, the least you could break even, it's just not for you. But I've realized a lot of people can't figure out how to make $1,200 a month, because they're not about money. See, me, I think about money a lot, right? And I'm not lustful for money. I'm not greedy, but I think about money a lot. I think about how to make money. I think about money that I didn't make today. I think about money that I made a loss today on the trade. I think about money that my business did make or didn't make. I just think about money a lot. That's just what I do. I've been like this for a very long time. I tried to help other people in this particular area, but I realized everybody just not like me because I just think about money a lot. I just do. So my thing is that you paying me $100 a month for the Patreon. If you can't figure out how to make money off what I'm telling you, you don't need to be on a Patreon. But what I realize is that a lot of people, they just want to get the entertainment out of it, not do something with it. So I dropped it down to the 25 to bring people in. But this is what I want you to understand. So this person raised their price from $45 to $100. People going to get what we call sticker shock. The price going to be like, oh man, I don't want to pay that. But when you have a business where you're giving your time, and a lot of these social media, internet personality businesses, they're time businesses. We're not getting the channel automation on YouTube. That's going to be really big. But what's still going to always be big is personality, brands, things of that nature. And the internet created that. So let me give an example. You look at somebody like Beyonce. She came in through the doors, the traditional gatekeepers. Her father walked her in through the doors. They was able to cut deals to keep her in the deal. And she showed that she was worth it because she's made everybody a lot of money. If she's damn near a billionaire, you got to imagine how much money the industry's made off of her. Industry's probably made over $100 million off Beyonce over the course of her career, right? She's made a lot of people a lot of money for a very long time. But for years, you were blocked out of those spaces because why? You weren't a celebrity. What the internet has done is created a way you can create your own celebrity. You can create your own following. You can create your own verticals. You can do shows. You can do conferences. You can do all this stuff. It used to be almost impossible to do this stuff 25 years ago, right? You used to have to buy TV time at 2 o'clock in the morning to try to pull this stuff off. It's very easy to do now. However, what's the one thing that you're doing that's very similar to the celebrity? You're giving your time, which you really can't put a price tag on. Therefore, somebody has a vertical where they're giving you their time, but let's say they're charging you $40 a month, but they're constantly giving you their time. And that's what this business person is doing that I know. They're constantly giving their time. So here's the issue. Yes, you can sell to 500 more people, but you're still at a $40 price tag. And then the question you got to ask yourself is what work are you going to have to do to sell to 40 more people? So if to sell to 40 more people a month at $45 a month, if I have to spend another 60 hours a month to get it to 40 more people, that's time coming out of my day. Right? Now, what is my time worth? So it really makes more sense to raise the price and instead of maybe trying to bring in more people. But people don't understand that because their attitude is, well, you could just run a Patreon and charge people X amount of money, but this is a business that's based around numbers. Now, here's another thing. If I'm charging $25 a month for Patreon, it doesn't make sense to run ads to bring people in because what will my cost per acquisition be? $5? It's almost impossible to run ads with a $5 CPA. So what is my CPA? What should I pay to get a customer on Patreon? So then I got to do more work to bring more people in on Patreon, right? To be able to make more money. So the only real leverage you have in these type of models is what? Bring the price up. But the problem is people don't want to pay the money because they really just see it as what? It's entertainment. I don't see you as a Beyonce or a Dave Chappelle or as a Kevin Hart. So I don't believe I should pay those kind of numbers. And I also don't believe that solutions to my problem, right, should be based around a legitimate business model. So I'm cool with somebody just going on YouTube and let's put a panel on here and we argue back and forth for 8 hours about an issue with no real takeaways. And I'm able to vent about what I'm upset about, which often is not the issue. A lot of times it's your economic issue and your relationship issues. I'm able to vent and I come back 2 days later and do the same thing. But that model really don't take a lot of work. It just takes me putting up a live stream and me just sitting back for 2 hours while y'all just yell and scream at each other. And that's a model that's worked for a lot of people. Or I do pre-recorded videos, but based on what I'm talking about, I'm still dependent upon the YouTube algorithm to publish me. Right? And often you got to ask yourself, can a business model that helps me be scaled. Because if it can't be scaled, why would somebody invest in the model? And so you'll start to understand why nobody's coming to solve your problems, because it doesn't make business sense to solve your problem. We can't scale the model because now you can do it with automation and we can do it with artificial intelligence, right? But often what many people want is they want to deal with a person. Well, a person costs money. So this is why when you got insurance, right, you're calling somebody and you're getting somebody on the other side of the world. Because why? That's cheap. Their customer service is outsourced to the Philippines or it's outsourced to India. Why? It's cheap. So then what they do is they offer you a software service on the front end, and on the back end, from the HR standpoint, you're dealing with somebody that's working for $6 an hour to maybe $10 an hour if they're lucky. Because that's what can be scaled. So we can scale the software on the front end, and the HR footprint on the back end, we can keep small with foreigners. But y'all want to deal with Americans. But we can't scale that model because the money's not in the business model. And that's what I really want you to understand. You know, I don't want to just keep beating a dead horse. I gave like a million examples, but you have to really understand, until you and your group make it a business priority to where it makes sense business-wise for people to come and solve your problems, you're going to always be dependent upon charity. This is why in Georgia, they have a bunch of dentists that go out and they go out on the countryside and they do dental work to people that can't afford it. But they just get emergency services. They don't get routine dental care. So they just get a lot of extractions because they can't afford routine dental care. Right? So you got to understand is that this is what people do because they understand these people can't pay for our services, but these dentists got to have enough money, right, in their business to go do that. They do the same thing. They go to Central South America and they do surgery on children that got cleft palates. But they're getting donors to do that, which means what? People made money during the year to finance those outreach things. Right? That's what you really got to understand. And so what I'm learning in 2023 and what I'm also going to go into 2024 is to build business models that can be scaled, that are not so intensive around me doing a whole bunch of work, because I can only do so much work per day, and that I don't get compensated for. Right? Because the goal initially was to get people into the markets because it changed my life, and I know it can change the life of other people. But I can't, even if I do the conventions and things of that nature, which we are going to go do, that's still an HR footprint. It takes time for me to do it. I know a guy right now, he's probably bringing $50,000 a month with a newsletter. He's doing $50K a month off of a newsletter, email newsletters, right? That it may take him a few hours a week to put together. He don't have to talk to nobody about nothing. And he making way more money than me because he's figured out how to build out a business model that can actually be scaled. But he's not trying to help people. He's just selling people information. My goal was to try to help people. But what I've seen is that a lot of people, they don't want to help enough to put a real price tag on it that makes sense for everybody. Then people talking to you like you crazy because of the line of business that you in. And so you see why people say, you know what? I don't even want to deal with that. Right? So that's all we're going to talk about. We're going to read the comments and we're going to get up on out of here. So Black Women Making Money says who you're targeting makes the difference. It doesn't make the difference with Miss Black Women Making Money. Who I am also makes the difference. You know, so one of the things that Kanye West talked about, that he's 100% correct, and I learned this, is that based on how you present, there can be barriers because what I talk about is controversial. So let me give you an example of what I mean. If I create a message that tells people they need to stop drinking alcohol and they need to stop smoking cigarettes, who is that message in opposition to? Not only is it opposition to the people that make money off selling cigarettes and alcohol, it's an opposition to the federal government because they make money off taxing that. So we got whole segments of our population to where that we disproportionately consume this particular products that are detrimental to our health. So if I create a whole platform based around telling people to do that, it don't matter who I target. What I'm talking about is the enemy. Because who am I in opposition to now? The people that sell alcohol and tobacco, and the people that make money by taxing alcohol and tobacco to a population that already is income challenged. So this is why you go to some of the poorest areas in the city and you find liquor stores. So the reason why a brother like Rizza Islam is never going to get pushed out there is because what he's talking about is in opposition to the people who are benefiting from a certain market. See what I'm talking about? So what I'm talking about is in opposition to a lot of people and what they're able to do. If you go look at the NFL, nobody wants the Cleveland Browns to all of a sudden become a winning team. Why? Because we stepping on the Cleveland Browns every year. We stepping on the Detroit Lions every year. We don't have a desire for them to ever win. We trying to win. So when you try to make the losers and the winners, that creates problem for the people that's already winning. Because why? Well, we don't want to lose. We want to keep on winning. So who I am and what I'm talking about is often the issue, because other people are saying the exact same thing I'm saying, and it don't matter who they target, they get pushed out. Right? You got dudes on YouTube. It's an Asian dude on YouTube, and he sits in front of eggshell paint for an apartment. That eggshell color they put in there like the primer, so you could put a real coat in there. He's sitting in front of eggshell paint with a tie on and a white shirt, and he reading off a piece of paper, and he got 500,000 subs, and he getting 50, 60,000 views, and he ain't doing nothing but reading the Wall Street Journal. Right? That's who he's reading the Wall Street Journal. He's doing nothing different than what I was doing on my Tuesday videos, and he get thousands of views. You got other dudes, he go outside somewhere, he film a video, he read off his cell phone the economic data, and the dude got 1 million subs. It's who he is allowing him to do that. So I have to figure out how to get over that hurdle, because Kanye West is a trick. He's an idiot. He also got psychological issues. And I know how that feels when your mama passed away. It'll mess with you. So that's why I don't really go into him hard like that, but I do, we gonna roast you. We black, so we gonna roast you. But one thing about him that he's 100% correct is, as a black man, when you start moving in certain lanes and them people know they can't control you a certain way, they're gonna block you out. Because for a fact, Rizza Islam is a very respectful person. He don't curse. He don't talk about black women. He don't disrespect nobody. And they tried everything they could do to shut that man down. And he not saying nothing different than what Joe Rogan's doing. But it's who he is the reason why they can't let that man get pushed. So that's what I want people to understand. Who I'm targeting is true, but who I am is also important. Because somebody that I told the people on Teachable, people that look like me are not supposed to be talking about what I'm talking about. They're not used to that. Right? That's just not something they're used to. So then they got to figure out, well, how did this Negro figure all this out? Right? How did he learn this type of stuff? Because I'm not talking about no, aliens in space, and I'm just talking about macroeconomics, microeconomics, and how it impacts people. Well, how did he learn this type of stuff? Who produced him? And now they start going down the rabbit hole, and they starting to, like I said, the same reason why By the Hood don't get the push they should get. Right? They've been doing what they've been doing longer than me, and they don't get no push. And they really out here in the community really doing real work, and they don't get no push. But a guy who, raised money to build a school that they never built, and he make a bunch of inflammatory videos, he on the Breakfast Club, he on this platform, I'm telling you, it's who we are and what we're talking about. And the fact that we actually are talking about something that's real and we know our stuff, that's the real issue. Is not just is bigger than who I'm targeting. It's who I actually am. That's the problem. And the fact that I didn't come from none of these people. I ain't cut no deals. That's another thing I haven't cut no deals with nobody. So that's another thing they got. There's a brother years ago, conservative brother. His first name is Tony. I forgot what his last name was. He did his thing, but he never blew up like he should have. Why? Because he wouldn't cut no deals. He wasn't going to sit there and be a mascot to blow up on TV. Brother's name is Tony. I forgot his last name. I don't know if he's even still alive. This was a show he used to do back in the 90s. So I seen this over and over again, but I seen it in real life. And that's the same thing they did Kanye. Even though Kanye got a lot of issues, I know what Kanye talking about because I've been there, right? I experienced it when I was a media buyer. There was a certain ceiling they wanted me to get to, right? And you can get past that ceiling, but I'm telling you, everybody that got past, most of them people cut deals. Now, they all didn't cut deals, but a lot of them people cut deals. I know for a fact because I know who they cut deals with, right? But I appreciate your comment. So targeting is real big, but a lot of times, especially in this social media space, it's who you are. I'm going to give you another example. I got a lot of respect for Beyonce. She's a hell of a performer. She's not a better singer than Fantasia. The way Fantasia looks, she was never going to be big as Beyonce. That's just a fact of life. A lot of this game is presentation and how you look and what people have the idea in their head. The way Fantasia looked, she was never going to be as big as Beyonce, right? Fantasia out-sing Beyonce 20 times past Sunday. She a way better singer, but it's how she look. And the fact that she wouldn't cut certain deals. She wouldn't do certain stuff, so she ain't never going to be big. But Beyonce's a hell of a performer. We ain't going to take nothing from her. She's a hell of a performer, and she's dedicated her life to music. But the reason why Fantasia didn't blow up, the reason why some of these women didn't blow up, because of how they look and because they wouldn't cut certain deals with these folks. These people, you got to cut a deal. So this what I know. So this what I say is that I got to figure out another way to go at this because I'm not cutting deals because it's another group of dudes. They real big on this YouTube. You know why they blew up like that? Because they cut them deals. And I'm not mad at them, but I know that's how they blew up. They cut them deals because they don't open up them doors like that to you if you ain't cut no deals with them. I know who represents them, and I know they cut deals. Right? That's how it go. Right? So that's the thing. And they not talking to me. Nobody on that show knows they stuff better than what I know. But that's just the game we in. This the entertainment business. Yeah, so it is. It's Tony Brown. I forgot about him. It's Tony Brown. That's why Tony Brown didn't get big. Because he wouldn't do certain stuff. Right? But he was a black conservative back when nobody was a black conservative. Right? And he was really trying to educate people on certain stuff. But he didn't blow it. Why? Because he wouldn't act like an idiot for white conservatives. He wouldn't do that type of stuff. Because real old school black conservative, you don't hate black people. This black conservatism they got out now where you hate black folks, that's some weird stuff to me. I'm from the South. You know, real old school black conservatism is you don't hate black folks. You don't hate yourself. It's none of that stuff. This new stuff they got now is like, it's weirdo stuff, but that's what they want. So that's what they give them. So let's go ahead and go through these comments. Maybe we're going to get up on out here because we at the 1 minute mark. And I appreciate everybody for doing the super chats. So let me go through the super chats real quick. So Ubox $10, man. I appreciate the $10. Ramel, man, I appreciate the $1.99. I hope you enjoy the book. That's an old book. I put it out in 2016. My Life, appreciate the $5 super chat, man. Abstract, I appreciate the super chat. Ray Gun, man, appreciate the $2. Appreciate you always coming through with the Fly Burberry. Big up to East Atlanta, man. Mr. G, man, I appreciate the $50. Appreciate the fact that you did business with me. You always been supporting the platform. Anybody that ever done business with me, we got people in here like Katrina. Katrina bought everything I ever made. Big up to Miss Alexander and her family, right? Urban Homesteader, Miss Lady L. You know, you got people that bought everything I ever produced. So big up to them. They always saw value in me, and I respect that, and I really appreciate that because it took me a long time to fight to make people see my value. They saw it early. So I always got to respect them for that because Urban Homesteader, Miss Lady L, some other people, they brought the pre-sale of the VIP. Before I even had the course made, I pre-sold it. They bought it sight unseen. That's how much confidence they had in me. So, you know, I really fought to make people really see my value. But peace to people like Mr. G, man, who supported the platform. He asset in the community. You know, he helped try to help other people. That's what we need. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't get everybody. We can't get help by ourselves. That's how they got Kanye. They isolated that dude, and then they just got on top of him. It wasn't nothing he could do. Bobby Johnson, man, appreciate the $9.99. Lindell Moore, appreciate the $9.99 on Uber. Appreciate the $20 super chat. Erica Williams, Classic Clown, Smart for Money. Dave ain't cut no deals. Neither have you. I appreciate the $2. Erica could be way bigger than what she is. All Erica got to do is put on the cowboy hat and get the right setting. And if she say the right stuff, she be 50 times bigger than what she is. And Erica's at a level where she really don't have to mess with us. I don't think people realize that. right? Tierra's at a level where she really don't have to mess with us either. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta applaud our people that's at certain levels where they ain't got to deal with us no more, but they keep choosing to deal with us because they don't have to. Erica didn't have to deal with me. It wasn't much I could do for her. She already up. So I respect people that didn't cut no deals and they still able to find their success because they make me realize I don't have to cut no deals to get my success. I just got to come at it from a different angle, right? But a lot of these people cut deals, right? Because I know how this game works. Because I know people that worked in media for years, and I used to do independent film. A lot of these people had to cut a deal, and I'm not mad at them because that's the fastest way to get to what you want is to cut that deal. Right, Mr. A, man, I appreciate the $19.99 super chat, man. So Erica says these guys are only white audiences showing black criminals, but never white criminals. Weird. Yeah, Erica, but that's what their audience want. They got a white audience, and that's what they want. It's weird to me though. I don't, but people do what they do. It's just weird to me. I just wonder how them people sleep at night. Like, do they really hate themselves like that? Or is it just about money? Right? I could respect it, but they like, man, Dave, it's just about money. It just is what it is. I could respect it. But I want to do like these people really hate themselves. But it is what it is. You live long enough, you'll see it all. So Candace says, Beyonce's choreographer helped choreograph a play that was a part of in my city years back. He said he was trying to work with Fantasia on the way she talks, and that presentation is key. Candace, I respect that, and I appreciate your comments. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Beyonce is really well-spoken? I respect Beyonce as a performer. Do you really think she's really well-spoken? What I think got Beyonce, and I know the game, and I know how we're socialized in America. I think if Beyonce was Fantasia's skin tone, I don't think she would have been as big as she is. Right? And we're not taking nothing away from Beyonce. Beyonce has dedicated her life to entertainment. So we're not going to take nothing away from her. But we're just talking about the reality from a marketing standpoint. We was in a marketing meeting. Do we think if Beyonce was the same skin tone as Fantasia, that she would have been as big as she currently is right now? Because one thing I look at a lot of music, if you look at all the female rappers that's really big right now, they pretty much all the same skin tone. Right? Everybody they pushing pretty much all the same skin tone. It's one girl coming out of Chicago that might be big, that's dark skin. Right? People in America, they want a certain look for their entertainers. It's always been like that. That's just how it is, because that's how they've been programmed. So if they elevate you, they want you to look a certain way. Right? And there's a lot of narratives on YouTube about men being colorists, but I keep telling a lot of people, a lot of these men were raised by women. So the colorist ideal come from their mama. It don't come from their daddy because they don't know their daddy. Come from their mama. But women are just as colorists because I don't believe, and Beyonce has primarily a female audience. If Beyonce was darker skin, and definitely if she was Fantasia's color, that she would have been as big as she is. With everything else she got going for her, I don't think she would have been the same because the industry would not have valued her the way they value her being a lighter skinned Black woman. Right? This stuff is baked into our society. It just is. I don't create a platform against it. It's just, it is what it is. I had a video on it. It might be on the Patreon, right? I think it's called, Is She Pretty or Is She Just Light Skinned? I think that was a video. I don't know if I put that on the Patreon, but I used to be on my Facebook page. But Fantasia is a really incredible singer. So Erica got pitched 3 shows, basically goofy for TV. I couldn't do it. I feel you. Yeah, you few and far in between. A lot of people to jump right on it because it's money and they're going to get fame with it. You know what these people do to get a little attention, man, is crazy. I ain't never seen nothing like it in my life. So Erica says, the show I was going to do with Kevin Sam was going to completely change my wardrobe and my look. And I can understand that. I got out of the t-shirt and put on the polo. There's some stuff I want to do that's going to be pre-recorded. I'll probably put on a button up and some khakis. You know what I'm saying? So I'm willing to change it up a little bit. But like I said, it's really the words that are coming out of my mouth. And what I'm talking about is is what's throwing people off, right? And the actual game I got. Because one thing I realized a long time ago, and I learned this when I'm dealing with women, if you really chop game at a lot of them, they realize I can't stand up to his game. They blow up. And that's something I learned to do early. When you really start chopping a lot of game at people, they realize that this is just too intense for me. I'm just going to blow up because they can't handle it. And that's just unfortunate, but it is what it is. So that's what I do not early. I just start chopping a whole bunch of game, and I'm going to chop your head off with the game. And if you can't stand up to it, you just going to blow up. I know early, but it's really the words that are coming out of my mouth. You know what I'm saying? And I really think that's the thing, because I changed my look up a little bit, but I really think it's the words. It's what I'm talking about and how I'm coming at it. So Solution Experience says 99% of my consults come from YouTube videos with under 200 views. Again, it's a false. I least expect the book to end up doing business with me. That's real, but you should be getting more than 200 views. See, that's the issue. You should be getting more than 200 views. Because you know your stuff. You're very presentable. You come at it the right way. You come at it as a professional. You shouldn't have to play game like this. Don't make no sense. But that's what YouTube is telling us, is we got to do all this. You shouldn't have to do a whole bunch of crazy, outlandish stuff to get attention. Right? We're grown people. We're not like 5-year-olds. Right? So that's just very unfortunate. You should be getting way more than 200 views. Yeah, do that. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm not against them, because that's what it works. But when YouTube pushes you, I heard he started getting pushed really hard during the pandemic. When YouTube pushes you like that, you ain't got no choice but to blow up, because most people going to watch what's put in front of them. That's how TV worked back in the day. TV, you had to watch what was on television. This on demand changed everything. So if you could get presented, you would blow up. Just like on radio, you had to listen to what they was playing. Satellite radio changed everything, because you could pick what you want to listen to. But it used to be, if we could put enough gas behind somebody, they would blow up, because they would get played so many times during the day, you had to like them. So the goal was, how can you cut deals with people that could get you the platform? Well, I don't know when he cut a deal, but he got selected because that dude blew up. And he ain't talking about nothing. No disrespect to him, though. Get your money. So Solution, it says, I'm learning who my client is. They tend to drop money without thinking twice. Sadly, they don't look like me. That's okay. Learning who the caterers I go. And I agree with you. And I want you to have success in your business. I just think, to me personally, and I'm not trying to diminish what you're doing and your success, I think for Black men, it's a little bit different. Just the way this country is set up. It just is. When you have a certain type of, and I learned this when I used to work in the corporate space. When you come at things a certain way, that's acceptable for some people, but for other people, it's considered unacceptable. Right? And you got to try to figure out how to navigate that. That's why I didn't really like corporate. So Black Women Making Money says, the only businesses I know that make big money from poor people are check cashing services and other high cost loan companies. Yeah, I agree. They done figured out a model that works. Also, like Boost Mobile, that was before Cricket. They primarily catered to an urban audience. Them dudes are billionaires now. And all they did was the same thing Cricket's doing. They was able to buy time or buy access to the network from the main provider. They remarketed as essentially a white label deal. They remarketed it. They marketed towards an urban network, ran really good ads at that time. Those ads were really, really compelling. I believe they had the Chirp. I don't know if they had the Chirp or was maybe T-Mobile had the Chirp, but they ran really good ads to an urban audience. They blew that thing up and then they sold it off. They did the same thing Cricket did. That's a great model. I would do that model if I had the money. Because people are going to always buy phone service. Really what you're buying now is data, but they're never going to not buy that. So the question is, what's going to make them buy yours instead of buying somebody else's? But everybody's on the same network. You're just trying to figure out what network provider you want to buy from. But we're all on the same network. Same thing with internet. Let me get these last comments. Maybe we're going to bounce up out of here. So Katrina said, I'm still using the Facebook ad course, the options courses. Yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate you buying it. Yeah, I really do. That's what I try to do. I try to give people a resource, because to be between me and you, the course I really think gonna add the most value is the IPO. So we're in a market contraction now. Once they put all their money back into the market, they start launching these IPOs every 60 days. That's gonna go back into play. So Brandy says she does have that. We're not going to take it away from Beyonce's performance, but I think if she had that same performance and she was darker skinned, I don't think she'd be as big. That's just my personal opinion, right? I think if Megan was lighter skinned, I think Megan would be bigger. I think if Cardi B was dark skinned, I don't think she ever would have got signed. I saw Nicki Minaj get lighter skinned over the course of her career. I remember when she came out. Right? She got lighter skinned over the course of her career. Right? Seen a lot of entertainers get lighter skinned over the course of their career. There's one dark skinned black woman that I think might could blow, but like I said, I don't think she's going to blow because she actually has black skin. Right? And black skin, I don't mean you're dark skin. I mean, you actually have, your skin is actually black. People don't like to look at that because of how they've been socialized, even if they're blacks themselves. They just don't like it. Right? It is what it is. That's the world we live in. It's even like that in Africa. So it is what it is. That's how we've been programmed. Eric, appreciate the $5 super chat. A Los Angeles TV producer called me on goofy stuff. I was like, how you find me? They stay looking for YouTube talent. They looking. Definitely. They out here. And they looking to cut deals with people. That's why I say that's how I know certain people took deals. Because they got big time representation in a relatively short amount of time. And they don't deal with you unless they got a plan for you. Right? And so that's how them dudes blew up. But big up to them. They getting their money. So I'm not going to hate on them. So Erica says, Richard Fain in Florida is how folks like black men are the oldest stock guy, brown skin, glassy. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% correct. Taylor D, man, I appreciate your $10 super chat. Much obliged, Diamond Dave. I applied your game. It just helped me dramatically. Likewise, Erica Williams, Classic Climb. Okay, appreciate it. And big up to Erica for giving me the platform to get out to y'all. Because you see what I'm going through now? If I would have tried to do all this dolo, it probably wouldn't have worked. I probably would have been got off of here. So big up to her for giving me the boost to even get to some of y'all. Because a lot of y'all know me through her. So that's what I'm saying, man. This is a crazy game, man. This game crazy. And I never realized this. I thought all I had to do was just make YouTube videos. This game crazy, bro. So that's a whole nother thing that you got to think about outside from trading and outside from driving sales. It's crazy. So yeah, it's time to, kind of go from a different angle. Like I said, I know a dude that just got a Twitter page and he checking $40,000 a month off an email newsletter. So yeah, so I got to look at a different business model. And he checking it. Yeah, so to me, Kelly Rowland is not as talented as Fantasia. They're not even in the same category. Personally, they're not. Right? So Kelly Rowland to me should be happy with the success that she got. She's a mid-level entertainer, singer. She's very mid. Fantasia's on another level voice-wise. Right? She just is. So I wouldn't consider Kelly Rowland in the same category as a Fantasia. Kelly Rowland to me is I don't know who else I would compare it to, but she's very mid-level. She needed Destiny's Child. That's the best thing ever happened to her because she never would have got there by herself. She don't have the talent. Right? Fantasia is from a talent standpoint is on another level. Yeah. Erica, exactly right. Lauryn Hill versus Erica Badu. I want hipster black, but weird and lighter. Exactly. And Erica Badu being light skinned opened up a lot of doors for her too. That's just how this thing works. So Novella Tastytopia, if I don't mind splitting the revenue, consider a co-host. So I'm asking you a question based on everything I talked about for the past hour and 20 minutes. How is the co-host going to drive more views? But I appreciate the contribution. So we're going to get up on out of here, man. I appreciate everybody for coming through. Like, share, keep doing what you're doing. But I want to always encourage you to make sure that if somebody is providing a business model to you, right, make sure it makes business sense for that business model to help you, or else it's going to be difficult for that business model to keep serving you. And they're going to have to go somewhere else, what we would call greener pastures. And we see businesses do this all the time. David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. I'll talk to you later.